Hello, Reading 7. This is Miss Kuphal again, and I am here with the continuation of your assignment that I gave you yesterday about Hercules. And you are either done with that assignment or finishing it up. It's due by 9 o'clock this morning. And then you're going to be moving on to the next information about Hercules, which is kind of left off from yesterday's reading, the idea that he felt such remorse for having killed his wife and children, even though he was pardoned by a king who told him it was not your fault. You were not really the person doing the killing because you were cursed with insanity by the queen goddess Hera, who was very jealous of you because her husband had you with another woman, and that woman was a mortal. So Hercules thought about that, but his heart still felt such pain for what he did. He still felt he needed to do penance. So he asked that king for help to help him cleanse himself of the idea that his own hands had strangled the people he loved most. And so the king, to help Hercules feel cleansed of his crime, came up with what are known as 12 labors. So today I'm going to read to you what I have posted for you to read, and you can play this video in the background as you follow along with reading. In response to today's readings, you will be collaborating with a person in your class, working with another person in your class for part of the assignment, and that collaboration will be about writing a summary for each of the paragraphs in this article. And a summary means that you're going to pick out the most salient, and salient means the most important, the top details to present about that paragraph. So what is each paragraph primarily about? And you'll write your own smaller paragraph to create a summary. You're going to recapitulate, you're going to summarize, but you're going to do it in proper formal writing style. So you'll need a proper paragraph with the topic sentence, and then the main points of the paragraph as the body or the supporting details in your paragraph, and then a summary sentence to wrap up again what the whole idea of the paragraph was about. And so you should end up with shorter paragraphs than are in the actual article because you're summarizing. And you have to decide again what's the most important ideas of this passage. So there'll be short paragraphs, but you have to have a topic sentence, you have to have supporting details, and you have to have a summary sentence. So in this case, your summary paragraphs are going to be between, I'd say, the very, very minimum would probably be 4 sentences, a topic sentence, 2 sentences of support details that you recapitulated from the bulk of the paragraph in the article, and a summary sentence. A longer paragraph would probably, your summary will be a little bit longer for a longer paragraph in the article. Okay. So you'll find that out when you get to the Reading 7 Google Classroom and read the directions, and in the instructions you'll see who your partners are also. So you're going to be sharing a document with one other person, and one of you will be writing in one colored ink and another in another colored ink, and so forth. So you will see those details when you go into the Reading 7 Google Classroom. Right now, though, I'd like you to bring up the article and have my video voice playing in the background as you follow along. So if you need to pause the video, go ahead and pause and get your article ready to read with me. You can read out loud if you want to. However, once in a while I stop to make a comment about some religious connections, some literary connections, or I might change up a word here and there to one that we are more commonly use, or define a word that I just used. So it's not going to be exactly a straight read through, most likely. Okay, so you can pause this video. I'm going to go ahead and start reading. I'm not going to pause. So you go ahead, and I'm not going to wait for you. Yeah, yes I am. If you pause, I have to wait for you, because I can't reach through and hold you and stop you from pausing. Or can I reach through my phone and reach you and stop you from pausing? Do I have such powers? I'm not going to let you know today. Alright, so here is the reading of the 12 Labors of Hercules, Part 1, Paragraph 1. After killing his family in an insane rage induced by Hera, Hercules went to Eurystheus, the king of Mycena, and offered to be his slave. He was prepared to accept the most difficult tasks as punishment for his crime. Eurystheus invented 12 tasks known as the 12 Labors. They were all nearly impossible to accomplish, even for the strongest man on earth. And that would be Hercules, the strongest man on earth. So remember, Hercules is the Roman name for this demigod, and Hercules is a demigod, demi meaning half, because his father is a Zeus, who is the king of the Greek gods, and his mother is not a goddess at all. She is a mortal. And the Greek name for Hercules is Heracles. Okay, but most people know Hercules, so that's the name that's used here. Alright, so paragraph 2. The first labor of those 12 labors, the first labor was to kill the Nemean lion. In the Nemean valley near Mycena, a terrible lion ranged. Hercules went there, taking his bow and quiver of arrows. And a quiver is the case that one slips arrows into and strings it across his or her back, a little bit like you would carry your gym bag, only it's only one strap across the front and back, not two straps across your shoulders, kind of like a guitar strap. Okay, so that would be a quiver. It's usually cylindrical, and then a bunch of arrows are dropped into it. You might have seen them used in movies. If you've ever watched Lord of the Rings, Legolas, the elf, is usually carries a quiver across his back, and he just reaches back and pulls out an arrow, and whatever he looks at or doesn't look at, or whatever he wants to hit, he hits automatically. Okay, so Hercules is an excellent bowman. He is an excellent archer, and that would be somebody who is great with a bow and arrow. I'm going to start this paragraph over now. Okay, the first labor was to kill the Nemean lion. In the Nemean valley near Mycena, a terrible lion ranged. Hercules went there, taking his bow and quiver of arrows and the big club he always had with him. He found the lion's den, but the beast was out hunting, so Hercules waited. At the end of the day, the lion came back, licking its slavering chops spotted with the blood of its prey. Hercules shot an arrow, but it bounced off the beast's hide, for this was a special lion. It could not be killed with conventional weapons. Only Hercules' incredible strength could conquer the beast. So Hercules slammed his club over the lion's head. The club splintered, but momentarily stunned the beast. Hercules jumped on its back, worked down the hind legs with his feet, grabbed the lion's neck with his hands, drew back the head and strangled him. So he's wrestling the lion, putting on some good wrestling moves. Hercules cut off the tawny hide with the lion's own claws and took it back with him, but would not give it up to Eurystheus, Eurystheus. He had won it as a trophy of war in a fair fight, which none could deny, and he wore it afterwards with the lion's head on his own head like a helmet. And so oftentimes images of Hercules are shown with him wearing the hide of the lion, and the head would be on top of Hercules' head and drape, and then the rest of the skin of the lion would drape down Hercules' back. So that could be pretty daunting, walking up to somebody with this nasty lion head on your own head, and then saying, "Hey, I killed this beast with its own claws. I'm a bad dude." So he did the first seemingly impossible labor, but that means there's still 11 more. Paragraph 3. The second labor concerned the Lernaean Hydra. This was a beast, a big snake with 9 heads. The Hydra lived way up in the swamps and marshes of Argos, near the sea. Hercules rode to the place in his chariot, driven by his nephew Iolaus. When they got there, the hero tried several weapons: arrows, his club, and a sickle, which is a curved knife or a curved sword. So he cut off one head after another, but whenever he had severed, meaning cut off one, 2 more grew in its place. So a 9-headed snake cut off one head and 2 grow in its place. What's the math on that? Let's see. 9, cut off 1, that leaves 8. 2 pop up, so you add 2. 8 plus 2, 10. 10 heads if you just cut off one head. Now you have a worse beast to deal with when you're trying to put this beast down. Paragraph 4. A huge crab came to help the Hydra, and young Iolaus ran up to help his uncle. But the heroes, though holding their own, were not getting anywhere until Hercules suddenly became inspired. It means he had an idea. Now, in the last reading about Hercules, the author wrote he was not very bright, but I refuted that, I debated that, saying Hercules became a leader of an army. He came up with strategic plans to conquer, and here we have him again thinking of something wise to take care of a seemingly impossible task. So he is a bright, incredibly strong, talented, mythological figure. Okay, so Hercules suddenly became inspired. He had a great idea. He told his nephew to build a fire and set up torches. As his uncle lopped off a Hydra head, Iolaus cauterized the neck with fire to close it so that no new head could grow. Okay, and cauterizing is an ancient practice in medicine and healing to stop wounds from bleeding too much. It also sanitized germs that would get in there, whether in ancient times they knew whether or not they were killing germs. And it can still be done. It still works if you got nothing else but, a stick in the woods and you can make a little fire. You can get that stick burning and make it scorching hot, blow out the flame, and roll it over a wound you might have. It'll hurt like a Dickens, but you'll have sanitized and cauterized the wound. You'll have stopped it from bleeding. Okay, so by cauterizing the necks of the beasts after cutting off each head, no new heads could grow. It's like putting a permanent scab or a scar on there. Okay, so that was the inspiration of Hercules. He told his nephew to build a fire and set up torches. As his uncle lopped off a Hydra head, Iolaus cauterized the neck with fire to close it so that no new head could grow. After cutting off the last head and searing the neck with fire, they buried the head under a rock. The marsh still breeds snakes, but they are just ordinary ones, mean but not monsters. In the sky part of the zodiac group, the heroes killed the Hydra's crab ally too, and it became a constellation in the sky, part of the zodiac group that terrified Phaethon. And remember, Phaethon was Helios's son, Helios the first sun god who drove the chariots of horses of the sun, and Phaethon said, "Let me drive it." And his father Helios said, "You have to keep the middle path, because if you go too high, you'll run into monsters that'll go after you and knock you around. If you go too low, you'll crash into the earth and burn up the earth." And Phaethon, if you remember, went too high, and the horses could sense that whoever was driving was out of control. Okay? So one of the monsters that went after Phaethon is that crab, and that crab is who Hercules killed and turned him into a constellation in the sky. The fifth paragraph. Now, the third labor was to capture the Arcadian deer. This deer was female, a doe, but it bore antlers of gold and had feet of bronze, being sacred to Artemis, the goddess of hunting, and her Roman name is Diana. She wandered free all over wooded Arcady, and it took Hercules a year of hunting before he caught her. On the return trip, with the live deer strapped to his back, he ran into Artemis, who angrily asked what he was doing with her doe. Hercules answered meekly that he had no choice. It was the will of Zeus, expressed through the oracle, that as a penance he obey Lord Eurystheus in all things. So he made his peace with Artemis, who was not easily appeased, not easily made calm. But Hercules was able to calm her down, and so that's another one of his talents, that he could talk to somebody and make them understand what he needed. Sixth paragraph. It looks real short, so I am attaching the sixth paragraph to the seventh paragraph and making them into one paragraph. In the fourth labor, Hercules took on the Erymanthian boar. This beast was a menace to the whole country, people, livestock, and crops. Hercules' task was to capture the boar and take it to King Eurystheus. On his way to find the boar, Hercules had to pass through the land of the centaurs, those rather engaging creatures with a man's head and shoulders and a horse's body. That's a centaur. They had the strength and speed of horses and the wisdom of men, but most of them were more beasts than men. There was one, however, Pholus by name, who was friendly. When Hercules arrived, Pholus invited him into his cave for a drink of punch and a good meal. The hero thanked the centaur for his hospitality and went in. Pholus served him the punch. It was delicious. Hercules had never tasted anything like it before. The aroma spread near and far, and the other centaurs came galloping up. When they discovered Hercules enjoying their special punch, they attacked him. Pholus, scared nearly to death, ran off. Not so brave, Pholus. So Hercules had to take on these wild beasts alone. They went at him with torn up trees, big shoulders, torches, and axes. Their mother, a big storm cloud, poured down a gray fog like pea soup that blinded Hercules and made the cave floor so slippery he could hardly stand up. But he persisted, because that's what Hercules does. He always tried hard and never gave up, from a little kid on, from taking on those 2 snakes that came into his crib, to doing his studies that were difficult for him in school, to all the training. He just never gave up. But he persisted in the fight, wiping out a good many of the centaurs and driving the rest away. Hercules continued his search for the wild boar. When he found the boar, he chased it all around the bushes in the snow until the brute died of pure exhaustion. Hercules threw it across his back like a large rucksack and tramped into the hall where King Eurystheus was waiting. All was ready with more work for Hercules to do. So that's the first part of the labors of Hercules. Okay, so we have a few more labors to go through, but that'll be part 2. Okay, so now you'll need to look into your assignment about writing the summaries for this portion of Hercules' life, this parts of the myth of Hercules, and take care of that. As I said, part of it you will be teaming up with another person in your class. Okay, so I am signing out, but before I do, as usual, I wish you well. I ask you to keep praying for what you know is good, and ask you to be good to one another, and let yourself know that God is with you, God loves you always, and that we are all together because God loves each and every one of us. So I do care about you kids a lot, and I hope you know that is a truth. Okay, so have a good day, take care, and like I said, please be good.